Yes, we have quorum.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Brett. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the MPO Technical Committee, October 7th. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Sturm, so moved.
Ludwig, second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We'll continue the same format that we've done in the past. We're not going to all have to unmute and say aye if there's any discussion on the approval of the agenda. Anyone opposed?
Hey Brett, I just have there's one correction. This is Steve Neighbor, City of Des Moines. I was there on September 2nd. Thomas Flock was not there. So just one minor correction. Otherwise, I'll move approve the minutes.
Okay, hold on, Steve. We got to get the approval of the agenda. So
my fault.
No, that's right. So anybody, any further discussion on approval of the agenda? Anybody approve the approval of the agenda? All right, that motion carries. Now we're on to the meeting minutes of the September 2nd meeting. Steve has made a motion with the change that he was present and Tom Block absent. Is there a second to that motion?
Montoya, second.
All right, thanks, Luis. So we have a motion and a second of the approval of meeting minutes. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do have one. This is John Larson. I believe I was at the September 2nd and it shows Kristen. I think she was at the August meeting.
Okay, thanks, John. I'll note that change as well. Any further comments or questions? Anybody opposed to that amended motion? All right, that motion's approved. Next up, we have a presentation from the Iowa Economic Development Authority's Clean Cities Coalition. Somebody can introduce that.
All right, perfect. Hi there, my name is MK Anderson. I just want to get my screen shared. Can everybody see my screen and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for your time today. My name is MK Anderson. I'm a project manager with the Iowa Energy Office. And as part of this role, I serve as the coordinator of the Iowa Clean Cities Coalition. So today I'm going to give you an overview of the Iowa Clean Cities Coalition and just kind of talk about who we are, what we do, and how we can work together. So the Iowa Clean Cities Coalition is part of the National Clean Cities Program, which is a program that's led by the Department of Energy. And we work to increase the use of alternative fuels and advanced vehicle technologies in the transportation sector. There are over 100 coalitions working towards this goal within their own regions. So each coalition is structured a little bit differently. For Iowa Clean Cities Coalition, we are housed within the Iowa Energy Office, as I mentioned, and the Iowa Energy Office is housed within the larger Iowa Economic Development Authority. We've been a coalition since 2009. We work through in the entire state of Iowa, and we are fuel agnostic. So we really work with our stakeholders to find the right solution for their needs. And in 2020, our stakeholder activities reduced the equivalent of 31.9 million gallons of gasoline. Our work falls mostly under education and consultations. So we promote the use of alternative fuels and alternative fuel vehicles, including the use of ethanol, biodiesel, natural gas, propane, hydrogen, and electric. And we also promote fuel use reduction strategies, energy efficient mobility systems, and alternative transportation options. So we do this through providing education, either through publications, handouts, webinars, or events. We also provide fleet analysis, so determining the current footprint of a fleet as well as the total cost of ownership, and then comparing that to what it would look like if the fleet were to transition to using alternative fuels. We provide high-level input to state agencies as they develop grant programs for alternative fuel vehicles, as well as to communities that are looking to better support the adoption of alternative fuel vehicles and fuel reduction strategies. And then we can also serve as a connection between potential project partners. So our work is in the following focus areas: individual consumer vehicles, communities, businesses. So then under communities, we focus on municipalities, transit agencies, and schools. And then we're also expanding into the freight industry. So ports, marine, trucking, air cargo, rail, warehousing, intermodal facilities, and first mile, last mile solutions. And then finally, we work with agriculture equipment and any non-freight fleets that don't fit into these other categories. So since you all fall into the communities category, I thought I'd talk a little bit about how we can work with you all. So we can provide education on alternative fuel vehicles, alternative fuel vehicle readiness, advanced vehicle technologies, and fuel use reduction strategies. We can also provide education on implementing alternative fuel projects, as well as policies that can be adopted to support alternative fuel deployment and reduce fuel use, and best practices in the industry. And then really anything else related to the above, we can provide education on. So we also host trainings related to alternative fuel. So in the past, we've hosted both first responder trainings and mechanic trainings, as well as driver trainings. So just when you get a new technology, it's always important to make sure that everybody is trained and we can use these as efficiently and safely as possible. So when we work with communities, we can do listening sessions where we can really gain an understanding of the knowledge, interest, and barriers to adopting alternative fuel in your area. We can work with you to develop and implement policies that support alternative fuel deployment in your area, as well as we can work together to develop incentive programs that support alternative fuel projects. And then we can provide you with project ideas, help you with project implementation, and again, just really serve as a connection between potential project partners. And then when we work with fleets, we can either work with your fleet or a stakeholder fleet to do a fleet analysis. And this really, we look at the fleet holistically. We determine the footprint of the current fleet, estimating the lifetime petroleum use, as well as greenhouse gas and air pollutant emissions of existing vehicles in a fleet, and the total cost of ownership of that fleet. And then we show what that would look like if a fleet were to add alternative fuels. And that includes providing a simple payback. So we calculate the length of time required to recover the cost of purchasing a new alternative fuel vehicle as compared to if you were to purchase its conventional vehicle counterpart. Oops. And then we can also help with identifying funding for alternative fuel projects, providing assistance applying to these funding programs. And then we can also provide technical assistance to fleets that are deploying alternative fuels. Here is my contact information. Thank you all for your time. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know I went through that kind of fast.
Yeah, thanks, MK. Any questions? So I guess just to clarify, if they contact you if they're interested, if any of us are interested in having you guys help us out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in working together, if you just have any questions about alternative fuel, please feel free to reach out.
All right, any other questions? I guess, MK, the question I have you done this for any of the metro communities?
Yeah, so we've provided fleet analyses for the city of Muscatine, the city of Dubuque, and one other city that is escaping me right now. I don't think that we have worked specifically on that with any in the metro area, but we are working with the city of Des Moines just as they develop their sustainability plan, and we welcome working with any other communities in the area.
Great, thank you. All right, thanks for that presentation. Next up, we have a report on Central Iowa Trails Roughness Condition Interaction Report.
Yep, that would be me. Yep, thanks. Yeah, so the MPO with its data bike project collects annual trail roughness condition every year. So we ride the data bike and collect trail roughness. In the past, the MPO has been publishing all our results and data in printed report formats. But now going forward, the MPO will upload and publish all the data in an online interactive report format. The goal of this is to hopefully make the data more accessible and more engaging for everyone. Next slide. So this is just a quick overview of what this application would look like. It's available on the MPO's website under the map section. So on the left-hand side, on the top, you have a list of menu options, and then underneath you have a variety of layers. You could look at the pavement imagery. So this is captured from our cameras as we ride along with the data bike, and you can also turn on and off the trail roughness for each of the years that we've collected. So in the example before you, you could see that the line over the trail is green, indicating that it's in a good condition, and then you can click on a point to bring up a image of the pavement at that location, and then you can click on it to enhance and enlarge the image for additional details or clarification. You could visit our web application on the link near the bottom of the screenshot. If you have any questions on this interactive report, I'll be happy to take them at this time.
Any questions for Z? All right, thanks, Z. Next up is a report on the DART safety performance targets for fiscal year 2022.
Yep, that will also be me. So as part of the Federal Transit Administration's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan regulation, transit agencies have to prepare safety plans and also safety performance targets, and also coordinate with the MPO in the process. So as part of this coordination, DOT has sent us the updated FY 2022 safety targets. These are available on the table to your right. This month we'll have a look at these targets, and then next month we have invited Pat Daly, DOT's safety manager, to tell us about more details on these safety targets. As part of this coordination, we'll be adopting and incorporating these targets into our planning documents, such as the TIP and the LRTP. If you have any questions on this, I can also take them at this time.
All right, thanks, Z. Any questions for him on the DART safety performance targets? All right, next up is a report on the Iowa DOT 2018 to 2022 Highway Safety Improvement Program targets.
Yep, last one for me. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so this is part of the Federal Highway Administration's Highway Safety Improvement Program. So every year, state DOTs and MPOs annually report safety performance measures. MPOs can either support the state targets or develop their own targets. In the past, the MPO has been adopting and developing our own targets. But based on recent feedback from the MPO's executive committee, we'll now explore the adoption of the Iowa DOT statewide targets, but we'll still be reporting our safety performance on a regional level. So for the 2018 to 2022 period, the DOT's statewide targets are in the table to your right. Next slide. And then in terms of regional performance, this table breaks down safety performance on a statewide level and also the MPO metro level. Compared to last year, currently, we still have a few more months to go, but our safety performance has been lower than the previous year, except for serious injuries in the MPO area. We have currently seen 149 serious injuries, whereas we only saw 140 last year. So that number is higher than the rest, but everything else is still below. If you have, we'll also bring these safety targets back next month for your approval. We're just giving everyone a preview of things. If you have any questions on these safety targets, I can also take them at this time.
All right, any questions for Z on the safety targets? All right, hearing none, thanks, Z. Next up is a report on the priority project solicitation for annual DC trip. Zach?
Yes, thank you. We just wanted to update you and let you know that we're going to be sending out the Excel list of projects from last year for communities to update for the upcoming trip to DC next year. So we'll probably send that list out at the end of this week. And then we're requesting that you return your updates to that list by December 16th. Again, just the process we do every year. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
All right, thanks, Zach. Any questions for him on the project list for the DC trip? All right, next up is upcoming events.
Just a handful of events to make you aware of. One is an ongoing public engagement effort by DART for their planning efforts for the future of transit. I have dates on here as well as a link to all the information that you could possibly want about this. We will be sending links out in an email after the meeting. Also this month is the annual APA Iowa Conference right here in Des Moines again this year, October 13th through 15th. Also want to make you aware of a public meeting that the DOT is putting on about US 69 in Polk County, and it runs through a large swath of the county. So I thought this one was worth drawing to your attention. More information at the DOT's website. Again, we'll send links afterwards. I believe that is it for me. Oh, wait, sorry. The Ice Storm Virtual Conference, we've mentioned this previously, but this is also coming up later this month. And also would note that there's a session for local leaders for potentially some of your city council members or boards of supervisors. And I think, okay, there we go. That's it for me.
All right, thanks, Gunnar. Any other non-action items of interest to the committee?
This is Andy with Iowa DOT. Thanks, Gunnar, for mentioning that. But we also have another meeting on October 14th and in Ankeny at the fire station, I think #1 there on First Street, just to the west of 69. We're looking at US 69 Ankeny Boulevard from First Street down to Ordnance Road. And it's one of the old sections kind of originally developed as a 2-lane, probably then a 4-lane, and never has, had medians, and we're experiencing a lot of side friction and access control problems there. So we're did a study a couple years ago, and we're getting out with some findings from that study to the public. So another opportunity. Again, it'll be served on our website, and we'll be out there in person.
All right, thanks, Andy. Anything else? Any other non-action items of interest to the committee? All right, hearing none, our next meeting date is November 2nd, 2021 at 9:30. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, did you want to say something, Todd, about Paul?
Oh, Paul, thanks. I wanted to say thanks to Paul Moritz. For those of you that don't know, Paul's retiring by the end of this week. So Paul, thanks for everything you've done with the MPO. Appreciate all your work on the committee.